Well, hello everyone. It is that time again, Generation X-Men, in which a bunch of Gen Xers talk about when X-Men was good.
I'm
And you know what? Just a complete aside that has nothing to do with anything. I'm shocked no one has commented on the song I used for our theme. But anyway, I'm your host, J.Ishiro, author and alien in a human suit. I am the author of the best pop culture book ever written, Boobs of Steel, a complete history of the Amazon archetype in media, starting from the Neolithic era to right now in the culture war. Link in the description. Joining me as always is, well, let's start with Senor Kronk, master of being Kronkness. Oh, wait. Today you're the Golden Globe Guardian Gladiator of BS.
Yes, the Kronk tree. I am so powerful. I have the power of 10,000 exploding coffee cups today. I hope you guys are
Oh,
ready.
cool. That sounds
Yes.
great.
That's an amazing
I drink
ability.
that.
I'm so powerful.
I am so sad that I'm allergic to caffeine. I am jealous of you
Oh!
all. No, seriously, I miss coffee. Good God.
I'm not trying to tease you here. Caffeine
It's
tease you.
okay. It's
All
okay.
right.
It's
Who else is here, Rishi?
The Professor and Marianne.
Both in one.
Uh, it is Janelle, goddess of mead, spirits, booze, and professor of all things X.
Hope everybody's having a good afternoon or evening. And if I can ask before we start the show, can we do a small moment of silence? Because it is 9/11, and apparently
Yeah.
today's
Yeah.
generation has no fucking clue about it. And that broke my heart.
Oh, wow. I'm glad I didn't talk to anybody of the younger generations today then.
Well, we can't have too much dead air. Or they're all.
No, I figured maybe like a couple of seconds, just,
Yeah.
it makes me sad that, yeah, when we were in school, remember for us, it was Pearl Harbor. And even though that was 30, 40 years ago, we still took it seriously. And
Yeah.
apparently, when 9/11 happened, that was our generation's Pearl Harbor.
I still take
And
December 7th seriously.
yeah, so do I, but
Yeah.
nobody responds to that at all. And like and now 9/11,
Yeah.
apparently this generation of children don't know or don't care. That
I
breaks
would
my
say more
heart.
it's by design.
Oh, I think it's by design too. Do not get me wrong, but still, yes. Thousands of people died on that day in a horrific accident. No, not even accident. Why am I saying accident? Fucking
Assault
Incident.
on our
terrorist attack.
country.
Yeah, so
Yes. Assault on American soil. And then the 20 years afterwards, where they dragged it out so money could be made.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Actually, you know what? It is kind of important everyone to remember 9/11 for a couple reasons. And yeah, I'm sorry, this is about X-Men, but it does need to be said. So I am going to say it. Yeah, it was tragic. It was the worst attack on American soil since, well, actually, yeah, it was the worst attack on American soil ever,
Yeah.
and the
They
worst
mostly
attack from a foreign power since Pearl Harbor. Okay,
they attacked civilian targets instead of
yeah,
our
it was not a
military.
military target; it was a civilian target. Um, and then when it came time to push back and do something about it, to seek justice, instead, Dick Cheney, I wouldn't even blame it on W. Dick Cheney did everything he could for us to attack Iraq, not the enemy, and
Yeah.
profiteer off it and use the tragedy to line his pockets. So whenever you hear anyone say, "Well, no, Dick Cheney needs to rot in hell." He is a
Let's,
warmongering dirtbag who likes to watch people die for money.
let's just say this: whoever named him somehow saw the future. They appropriately named him.
Yes. The
But
only way his name would be any better is if his last name hadn't been Cheney but Joker.
or middle name Sucker.
Dick Choker.
Dick Suck and
Dick's
Choker.
He could have been Chokes on Dick, just
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
teacher, Miss Chokes on Dick.
Jokes on.
So anyway, we had a pretty good show last week. That time Jack Kirby met Paul McCartney and produced And what they
Oh,
did, he drew a picture, and McCartney wrote a song.
Yeah, the
Eh,
Magneto and Titanium Man. And if anybody sees it anywhere, eBay, I don't know what, please contact me through Discord or Instagram. I am looking for that vinyl. Please let me be selfish. I know you probably want it, but give the information to me because, yes, I'm a
think of
nerd.
Janelle, won't you?
Yes,
Please.
think of me first, damn it. Or
For once in
if you
once in
do
your
buy it for
lives.
yourselves, please send me a picture so I can be insanely jealous of you.
There you go. That's fair.
The other thing is YouTube's getting increasingly more hostile to this channel to let everybody know we're on the air. This show will be moving to Rumble very soon, like all the other shows have begun doing. Just let you know.
Can't wait.
I guess I need to make a Rumble account. I don't think I have one.
I got one. I'm over there already.
But
Pretty
my
much the only
social media is limited.
pretty much the only place besides YouTube I'm not banned. So
Yeah, all of our shows are going to be on Rumble. I mean, already Pissed Off Gen Xers is on Rumble now.
yep.
So anyway, you
Get over
had
there,
some.
folks.
You
I
had
have
yes.
I had some information. First of all, John Cassaday passed away. Fantastic artist, but something was definitely wrong with him. There was a X-Men cover that came out that he did that looked like it was done by a 10-year-old. And if you've seen John Cassaday's work, it's amazing. And there have on social media on Instagram, Silvestri and a couple of others were talking about, was it Silvestri? I think it was. But they said they knew something was wrong because he was looking pretty frail and bad for the last couple of years, and they still won't say how he passed away. I think he didn't want anybody to know. I got a feeling it was cancer. But so yes, rest in peace, Cassaday. The only reason Astonishing X-Men was good is because your artwork, not Joss Whedon's writing. I mean, seriously, by the end, I was buying that book not for Whedon's writing because I felt like I was just reading Buffy the Vampire Slayer with superheroes. Because he turned Kitty into just Buffy. 'Cause I know he based Buffy off Kitty, but no, it was Buffy Summers. I'm like, okay, great, wonderful. Anyway.
I didn't watch the show, so I don't know what that means really, and I'm okay with that.
You should be okay with that.
I'm pretty good.
Joss Whedon tried his crack at Cassandra Nova as well, and it fell flat. In my opinion, I was like, this is the dumbest fucking storyline.
Was this as effective as Joss Whedon's attempt to write an Alien story?
I can't even imagine how bad that would be.
Well, are you talking about when he wrote the script for Alien Resurrection, or did he actually?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I did like his concept about what the newborn was originally supposed to be, be more like a vampire where you could see the blood of his victims like going through the veins.
Because of course he'd make it a vampire. Because what other idea does he have?
Very shallow reserve of imagination there.
Well, you know, I mean, if you think about it, he pretty much made Black Widow Buffy as well.
Really?
Well, think about going back. I gotta say, it seems like he tried to make her Buffy, but Scarlett Johansson knows better and is a fantastic actress anyway.
Yeah.
So she came off more as Natasha, but there was some Buffy-esque shenanigans going on.
Oh, Lord.
But I still like the Avengers movie anyway, but that's because you had a solid cast, even though like half of them now are, you know, mind virused and I don't want to watch any of their shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, John, rest
Yeah.
in peace, John Cassaday.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. You got to admit that while for the character of Hulk it totally sucked,
Yeah.
but for just laughing at the douchey cringiness of the actor himself, it was funny seeing them turn Hulk into Ruffalo Hulk.
Yeah.
Metrosexual.
Metro Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh God, see, I didn't find that funny. I found that insulting. I was like, this sucks.
Oh no, it's insulting, but it's funny at their expense.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it was insulting to the character of Hulk, but on the
Yeah.
other hand, yeah, Mark Ruffalo wants to get on screen and make an ass of himself that much and come off as a real fop.
Yeah.
Just that whole like happy, sugar-coated behavior. Oh, I'm everybody's friend. Golly gee willikers. Yeah, no.
Yeah. The real Professor Hulk always still looked like he was pissed off even when he wasn't. It was more like fucking leave me alone. Like
And
I
that's
haven't had
why
my coffee yet type thing. Except always.
I thought the best arc in Endgame, and people disagree with me, I don't care, was when the two non-powered superheroes went to go get the Soul Stone and they were both willing to die to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, and that
pretty good.
like 5-minute scene to get the Soul Stone, you captured what it means to be a friggin' Avenger. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't have done this before. I'm glad we had Hawkeye and Black Widow till the bitter end.
Yeah.
But damn, come on. Like, Steve Rogers being selfish and altering history for himself and being like, oh, yeah, that is America's ass. No, shut up. No.
Beyond selfish, beyond stupid. That's when I stopped. I was out. I was totally gone when he did that. I'm like, nope, this just became silly Billy, not even Saturday morning bullshit.
Well, it just went straight down the hole of fanfic.
Yeah.
For me, I checked out even earlier. It was when Captain Marvel showed up and was able to intimidate Thor. I was like, the guy's a fucking god, dude. He would have smashed your skull in.
He'd fight her just to see who is stronger.
Oh yeah.
If she didn't recognize, he'd fight her just to show her who's stronger, just for like funsies. Because he used to fight the Hulk for fun. Who the hell purposely gets hit by the Hulk for fun? Thor.
Yeah.
Even Thing doesn't fight Hulk for fun. Thing goes out of his way to not fight Hulk if he can help it. It's like a last recourse. You know, if he has to fight Hulk, then he has to fight Hulk because he's gotten pounded so hard so many times. Like Mark Ruffalo's asshole, allegedly.
So, you said you wanted to talk about the Outback.
Okay, so we're not going to do a full episode on the Outback, but my favorite channel, Classic X-Men, he has somehow found interviews that I can't even find with Claremont, and I think it's because he actually collected the like Wizard magazine and Hero magazine and never got rid of them. So, you know, you can't, it's hard, I can't find interviews with Claremont anymore unless it's, you know, the only thing that I can really say is the documentary Claremont's X-Men was the big one. There was so much information that came out of this, but this man has like everything. And it was very interesting. So what we had talked about before is Claremont really liked to experiment, you know, throw the spaghetti at the wall, see which noodle sticks. And the Outback was supposed to be his, all right, let's do the grandest experimentation ever. Because think about it, with the fall of the mutants, Nova gave the X-Men a second chance. And they end up going to the Reavers base.
Roma.
And what?
Roma, not Nova.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Why do I want to call her Nova? Roma,
it
Merlin's
seems like
daughter.
It would be like her last name or something, like Roma Nova.
I think, you know why? Nova Roma.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nova Roma. There you go, guys.
She got Magma on the mind.
Mostly Selene. I like Selene a lot better. Though Magma is my favorite New Mutant.
Gotcha.
But I mean, Selene, before they nerfed her, was one of the scariest villains. Before Apocalypse and Sinister was around, you were scared of Selene.
Okay, so what'd you find out?
Well, he had them go to the Reavers. The Reavers were wiped out. They had that Christmas special where they returned every stolen, ill-gotten gain back. And they realized we are in a base that is more technologically advanced than the mansion ever was. And so they're like, oh, okay, so we can start doing things Spec Ops style. That was the plan. They were no longer detectable to electronics. Nobody would see them coming. The Sentinels wouldn't even know they were in their line of sight. Also, which I actually forgot about this, and I'm very ashamed that I did, Storm relinquished leadership to Logan. Who is the best to run a Spec Ops team? Logan.
Of course.
I did not know that part.
So, like I said, this was all supposed to be experimental, and it was also supposed to be a brand new era, to the point that Madeline Pryor redesigned their logo, and it was an 8-pointed star with the X in the middle, and they had their own Knights of the Round Table, and it's kind of like Justice League, where their faces were on the table where they sat. You know how the Justice League had their insignias on the back of their chairs.
Yeah.
And so, and Madeline was the one that was like, all right, I will figure out all this tech, and we're going to start coordinating left and right. And it was working. The one annual where Terminus showed up and Storm took off at gale force speed.
Yeah.
And the computer was tracking her I think it was by the nanosecond. It was keeping up. It was like, holy shit. And like they even showed that Rogue couldn't keep up with her when they were trying to fly after her. So I mean, that's how advanced the machinery was. It really was supposed to be this new arc. And apparently one of the things that was, he was experimenting with is Gateway was going to kind of become their new mentor, which I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense for me, but maybe he would have, finally opened up and, he would have been like a dream walker. So that was one of the things that he had planned. Also the Freedom Force, introducing Freedom Force around this time. I believe it was right before Fall of the Mutants. But it was the old men that were in Freedom Force, the World War II veterans.
Yeah, Super Saber,
Crimson Dynamo, and Stonewall.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't have a problem with the old men. I thought it was kind of funny, like they still, if you've met any World War II veterans, it would make total sense why these guys were still rocking as superheroes.
Yeah, they must have been super young during World War II. I mean, like kiddos.
But
not legal.
Silvestri didn't even draw them to look. They looked old. I mean, even their suits, you kind of seen the wrinkles and the saggy skin.
Except with Stonewall. Oh my gosh, that guy still had like Colossus's body. But you could see it in his face, though. You could see it in his face. Like he was a wall still.
Okay, so we've got this base of this, but in itself, they never really kind of pieced together the mystery behind it.
Oh, you know what? Crimson Dynamo, you're right. I think it's Crimson Commando.
Crimson Commando,
Crimson Commando. Sorry.
Yeah. An Ultra Patriot, not an Ultra Commie.
Yeah. So, there were a couple of other things that happened before Fall of the Mutants that we will all remember. It's kind of like, why did they do this? And then finding out, oh, this is why. Okay. Rachel getting stabbed by Wolverine, trying to stop her from killing someone before she gets tempted by Mojo and spiral into the body shop. When I read that, I was like, okay, that's really bizarre. Like, why all of a sudden are you getting rid of Rachel? She's buff as hell.
Wasn't she going to kill Selene?
Yeah, she was. But there's a whole... So Claremont liked having the character, but he didn't know what to do with her at that moment with the X-Men.
Yeah.
So he put her effectively on hold. And it worked because guess what? After Fall of the Mutants, where did she end up? Excalibur.
Right.
And that team she fit way better with. So it's like he liked the character. He wanted to use her, but he needed to put her someplace else.
Okay.
And then also... okay, so we also had the introduction of Dazzler, Longshot, and Psylocke to the team. Longshot was also kind of an experiment. And I guess just for Claremont, he really didn't like the direction of this character. And so, but if Longshot disappears, that means that Dazzler's got to go too, because they're a couple.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean... I'm going to say that I do not remember how Longshot disappeared off the team. Do you guys remember? I mean, that's bizarre to me.
I kind of stopped being able to afford X-Men around that time. The next time I could read the X-Men, Muir Island was under attack and Freedom Force of all teams was there to defend it.
Didn't he join the Freedom Fighters that were warring against Genosha? He was part of the Resistance.
I
I
thought that
don't
was
know.
no, that was Havoc got brainwashed and turned into a magistrate. Yeah, that was hunting down mutants. They were using him to hunt down the X-Men. But you know what? Maybe he actually did go back to Mojo World because he became the
Yeah.
leader of the Resistance and was eventually able to topple Mojo. So Mojo Part 2, the
Yeah.
sequel, could take over.
With even more revenge.
Yes. And just a side note, Mojo Part 2, the sequel, was the dumbest fucking clone ever because it was skinny.
Oh,
And it had the Fu Manchu like mustache and beard and long fucking hair. I'm like, I don't want a hot Mojo to the sequel. I like my corpulent Mojo. Thank you very much.
Good
I like
word.
the corpulent denizens of Mojo World. Please don't give me like, abs and long hair and you're trying to make him look hot, please.
Yeah. Scary.
That was Jim Lee though, guys. So hey.
Curse his name.
So let me look a little further. Okay, so
Oh,
like I
she's
said,
got notes. She's coming in with plans.
She's coming in hot.
all right, so Outback, the idea for the covert assassins, Claremont was like, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't do this. The X-Men are supposed to be heroes, not going out and like assassinating bad guys. So that's kind of where that idea got dropped. Now,
the for X-Force.
the era that always sticks out to me, always, is the Outback era.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, that era lasted the longest. No, it didn't. It was less than a year, guys.
That Mandela
Yet it
effect.
was great.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's why it sticks out. Like to go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to add real quick 2 really great annuals out of that too.
Yes. The only thing that would have made me happy with the Outback, and just even more happy, is if they wouldn't introduce Gambit then oh my God, I would be like, don't ever change anything. They stay in Australia forever. And Madeline Pryor doesn't become the Goblin Queen. I know Inferno was awesome and all that, but this is why I'm a little bit like about Inferno now. Claremont could not have any of his vision realized for Inferno, or I'm sorry, for Outback, because Shooter was like, yeah, so since you've done the 2 crossovers that have made us millions, from now on every year you need to do a crossover. And so Claremont had to spend time building up the main stories instead to the next event crossover, which meant his ideas for the Outback were never realized. And that's when he was like, fuck it, and dissolved the team by having them die or go through Siege Perilous. That was his way of saying, I wash my hands of this. I can't do the Outback era. You won't let me.
If we could get a time machine, maybe that's one of the things we would change in the past is, we would just pull up, just like in the Matrix, just like grab him off the street and take him to a warehouse and sit Shooter down and tell him that he had a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. And the blue pill, he'll go back and completely fuck up the X-Men, piss everyone off, and lose his job.
Or we can give you the red pill and you can see what happened and maybe be a little bit more lax and let Claremont, as was the common term today, cook.
Yeah.
I think
Claremont
Shooter would make the right choice. If he was given the vision of the future, I bet you he would make the right choice.
You need to lay off on the event titles. This is going to piss people off.
Well,
you have no idea what the future you were building by making a yearly event title, dude.
Well, that's why Steve stopped reading. He couldn't afford any comics anymore because not only was X-Men it was bi-weekly at this point, so twice a month. Claremont had to focus only on crossover events, which, I mean, you can start seeing by Extinction Agenda, Muir Island Saga, Executioner's Song. Like, the storytelling was gone. It was always building to this event. Those events were good, don't get me wrong, but I really think it should have stopped after Inferno.
Well, the event titles I was okay with happening, but demanding 1 writer and 2 editors to put together an event title every year and maintain all these other titles? No, absolutely not. And in fact, doing an event title every year is one of the things that turned so many people off of comics because it became very clear to readers, oh, they're just building into the next big cash grab to have us buy all these titles we're not interested in. And yeah, that really derailed a lot of things. And that was one of the things that really started upsetting both creators and the readers. It really, the event titles stopped being special.
Yeah, that's one reason I liked when DC did events, because there were years sometimes between events. There weren't yearly events. Like I was even though it sucked, Infinite Crisis I got excited for. And then I was severely disappointed. But then Blackest Night happened, and I actually enjoyed Blackest Night. But they even said it was going to be a 3-year wait in between. It was like, awesome. I have something to anticipate. And the writers could still do their storylines while slowly building up to the
Okay.
main event.
Here's my take on Infinite Crisis. This is not a DC show, so we'll get to it quickly.
Yeah.
It was one hell of a build-up with the biggest third act blue balls ever.
Yep.
What was that one? I didn't read DC.
That's when they were deciding that because they fucked up with Infinity Crisis, and writers and artists were like, we're not converging our characters and storylines down into one distilled storyline. That's why we had 2 sets of Hawkman and Hawkwoman, and like all of a sudden pocket universes where Superboy still existed. I mean, just weird shit, because the writers and the artists didn't want to be like, hey, I was already working on a storyline, and now you're taking me off this book, or you're making me do this other writer storyline, because you want to compress all multiverse characters down into one. So instead of having, infinite Supermen, you only have one Superman. Same thing, Batman, you name it. The Golden Age heroes all of a sudden were left in limbo. And then turns out, all of a sudden now they were part of Earth Prime, which made no sense if you read any of the Golden Age comics. And so Infinite Crisis was instead bringing back the multiverse, but there were only 52 of them, because there's only 52 weeks in a year, and the 52 comic would release every week. I mean, it was convoluted as fuck, but a lot of the writers and the artists really kicked ass. I was super into it. But Ishi's right. I was like, this is the ending. Are you literally they literally copied Crisis on Infinite Earths, except for the Flash. It wasn't the Flash that died. It was fucking Batman.
Yeah, like I said, the buildup was great, but then they got to the third act and it really fell apart.
Well, I loved it because one of my favorite DC characters, Donna Troy, was front and center. I was like, holy shit, she's finally getting to shine. Because cool. She is. I love the fact that her outfit was a star map that told you where the gods of the multiverse were living and hiding. But
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Okay, so getting back to the X-Men. We've got other things you want to mention about the Outback, but we do have a question from Wistmore. Any insight on how the X-Men artists got tired of working on the titles that led to the blowing up the industry and forming Image? They didn't get tired; they got greedy
and arrogant.
Yeah, because if they were tired of doing the X-Men, they wouldn't have all gone over to Image to do their own crappy half-ass version of the X-Men.
Right.
I
will. What they all did.
I will say I'm going to give Silvestri a pass, because he had been doing X-Men for so long, and he even told Claremont he was burning out and he needed to move to another title.
He did Cyberforce, which was essentially
X-Men
with Cyber X-Men
with RoboCop powers.
Yeah, but Cyberforce didn't last very long. Right after that, you got Witchblade, which was not X-Men. I was like, that was way better.
Yeah, it showed. It really showed. There was creativity in that. It wasn't just the first issue of Cyberforce. Well, are people really ready to accept mutants? That politician's blue.
Oh, William Silva, you're right. Infinite Crisis and then Final Crisis. It was Superboy got killed by Superboy Prime. on Infinite Crisis, and Batman died by a anti-life equation bullet in Final Crisis. Okay, sorry, cleared that
Final
up. Thank
Crisis
you.
never happened. It doesn't exist.
Yes, I
Does not.
agree.
The anti-monitor does not exist. Ugh. God save me.
But yeah, it was all greed. Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld thought they knew better than Claremont on how to draw X-Men and went behind his and Louise Simonson's back. I think by this point, Harris had yanked Nocenti off X-Men, but she kind of got lucky because she was put on Daredevil, and she was the one that was able to save it after Frank Miller left it in such a god-awful mess.
Yeah, she did. She did pretty good on that.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it sucks that she got yanked, but at the same time, if you know anything about what Frank Miller did to Matt Murdock, that book should have never kept going after he was done, but Ann
Nobody should
Nocenti
have let him
fixed
do
it.
that. Yeah, nobody should have let him do that.
No, that was Frank Miller having a temper tantrum on cocaine.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
You know, Frank Miller is one of those guys that was a great artist till cocaine, or a great creator till cocaine. Fame and cocaine ruined him.
I loved the Sin City series. I used to
Yeah.
have the whole thing, but then I lent it to a supposed friend, and then she, along with my 6th season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, signed by all the actors who played the villains that season. 2 weeks later, she up and left for England, and I never saw her again, with most of my Sin City collection and my Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 6 with the autographs on it.
I feel you.
Yep.
Because I had the original 1 through 13 of the Wolverine series,
Mhm.
and only one person knew where I was hiding it. I was hiding it in my closet somewhere, and only one person knew where it was, and I only have like 8 through 13 now.
Oh, I'm being told again it was some sort of Omega Beam vaporized bullet for Batman and a failed clone. Jesus fucking Christ. No wonder I just decided in my head that Batman died by an anti-life equation bullet.
Head
That is so
canon's better.
convoluted. Oh my God, Final Crisis didn't happen. All right. Yeah, Frank Miller's Sin City was great. Anything else that he has done? I mean, look what he did to, oh God, what was the movie that Robert Rodriguez helped him direct, and it just
Of the Spirit.
Yeah. Good God. I will not watch that movie. I heard from people who are huge fans of The Spirit that it made them want to cry because they were so upset.
Mm.
All right.
So, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, where was I? Okay,
The Outback.
so that is why the Outback era lasted less than a year. And that was really all I had to say. But this was supposed to be where Claremont was going to finally be able to kind of stretch his legs and see, like, okay, let's see what kind of experimentation worked. And like I said, I mean, he put Rachel Summers aside for a little while because she just didn't fit with the X-Men. But when he created the Excalibur team, it was like, oh my gosh, she is perfect there because she has Kitty and Kurt with her who knew what she went through, and then you have Brian and Megan, and, it worked. I love that team. If I ever got to do an X title, I would love to do Excalibur, and I would just bring back the OG 5.
Yeah, when
And-
they started adding people, and yeah, I was less into it.
So yeah, it makes me sad because it sounds like Claremont had a really fun, like, kind of James Bond-esque story getting ready to go for,
even more than that, not just with the Outback. It wasn't just kind of a James Bond story he was lining up, which there were elements of that. That definitely is there. I really liked the idea that they were going to become this sort of urban legend that nobody quite believed in, and they'd just show up, save the day, or do what they needed to do, and just vanish again. And did it even really happen?
No, that would have been great. Can you imagine where the X-Men became urban legends?
Well, he was building towards that.
Well, I can remember in some of the comics where they would spray paint like X-Men were here before they'd leave the scene. So,
Excuse me.
I also, The Outback had so much.
Mhm.
Because also everybody was having their own little personal crisis. And I don't mean like drama, but Colossus could no longer go to flesh form. If he did, he would die. After
He would die?
Wolverine, and yeah, don't you remember it was after Mutant Massacre? He couldn't switch back into his flesh form. It would kill him. It was around this. I forget which mutant did it, but they scrambled his powers and Kitty's, because Kitty for a long time could not go back to solid form. Now I know her natural state is being intangible. That's what a lot of people don't realize is Kitty has to concentrate constantly to be able to stay corporeal. But when she would do it, it would be so painful. She would collapse in pain.
Oh, I thought
So
Colossus just had like a mental block that was stopping him from turning back human.
no, I'm
Because
pretty sure his injuries were because
because
that's why he couldn't become flesh again.
at the beginning of Fall of the Mutants, before I think when he was trying to rejoin the X-Men, wasn't he flesh for a little while?
Mm-mm. He didn't become flesh again until he went through Siege Perilous and it healed whatever was wrong with him.
Oh, okay. I guess I misunderstood that. But yeah, he got messed up in the Morlock Massacre.
Because I can remember when they would have to go out in public, Dazzler, being the rock star that she was, knew how to apply like movie makeup and put foundation on him to cover up how he looked, and then he would just wear sunglasses. And that's how when
Gotcha.
they would go through the gateway, he could still be seen as human, and he would wear gloves and stuff. And he just, he looked like this yoked Russian dude that liked to wear sunglasses and gloves. But yeah, so Rogue was all of a sudden Carol Danvers was now front and center again, and Carol Danvers was hijacking her body. Havoc is still reeling from the fact that Lorna has been possessed and is leading the Marauders, and he's having a crisis of faith in himself because not only does he still feel inferior to Scott, he also now has lost his girlfriend. Logan is, remember, the same time that they went to Genosha and Logan lost his healing factor for a while, his healing factor didn't really come quite back. Also, he was really starting to feel his age. Storm has gotten her powers back now, but she doesn't want to be the leader. And also, she had to leave behind the man that she loved.
Yep.
And then you have Madeline, who, this is before even any of the demon shit started. Her husband walked out on her and their child to go be with his first love. He abandoned her. So now Madeline thinks she's worthless. Now the rest of the X-Men do not think she's worthless, obviously. You have Dazzler.
I thought she was worthless.
Really? I
I've
actually
always
liked
hated Madeline. I always hated her. Even when she was anodyne and she was kind of not being a bitch, I always hated her. I'm just like, fucking die. Go
Madeline
away.
Pryor?
Yeah. Drink
Really?
poison.
Why? I know we're
She-
very different people, but why didn't you like her?
She just always seemed like a cunt. She was always like, "Hey Scott, leave the X-Men. Hey Scott, look over here. Look at me. Pay attention to me. Look, I had your baby. You have to love me now." Fuck off.
What? He bailed on her and she had to give birth to Nathan Christopher on the floor by herself. I
It's
had a
not-
lot of sympathy for her. Scott, it was obvious from the jump, Scott only married her because she looked like Jean.
You know,
We all
it's kind of
have
interesting
preferences.
it's kind of interesting you bring that put it that way. That's what stuck with you, Kronk.
Yeah.
Because I think basically it was just each of us took something different, or maybe when we read these books, again, when we were talking about the characters that really stood out, the ones we liked the best, it showed the differences in personality. When it came to Madeline, for me, what really stuck with me was the fact that this was somebody who was only there because Scott was trying to recapture his dead, the joy of having Jean around. Gets stuck with the X-Men. She has no powers. She's a pilot.
Yeah.
She came across as a hell of a lot tougher than Jean ever did. And that what I recall was the time in San Francisco where she managed to hold her own.
I didn't actually read the story. I just heard she was hurt on the bridge in San Francisco against the
The Marauders were after her.
Marauders. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only heard about it. You know how Chris Claremont would go like previously, explain like, remember that time, or oh yeah, then we're gonna get the Marauders back or whatever. You know what I mean? I didn't actually read that issue.
No, she held her own a couple of times. That's why I like her. She was fucked from the jump. And
By
yeah,
the end, she was kind of like their logistics officer.
yeah. Her own husband abandoned her and her kid, and the X-Men turned right around and said, "Fuck Scott, we're your family." And I mean,
I don't know if you're reading X Factor, but like he pretty much kind of did the same thing to X Factor to go looking for Christopher too, though.
well, that's because Scott is trash. I know you like Cyclops, but I think he is a trash human being.
Scott
Dude,
Summers is
Kat, Itchy, and I
trash.
got shit-faced and did a whole episode called Scott Summers. Was it Cyclops or Scott Summers is trash?
Scott Summers is trash.
Trash.
And
And we just railed on Cyclops for 2 hours.
And
yeah, I didn't watch that one.
To the audience, that episode, which is no longer available, will be reappearing remastered on Rumble when the Rumble channel goes up. Right now, only our Pissed Off Gen Xers show is on Rumble, but like I said, each of those shows will get their own channel.
Wait, the Scott Summers is trash got yanked?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Don't look at me. I didn't even watch it.
Someone
Not my
doesn't like
fault.
this channel.
Really?
Someone at YouTube does not like this channel. As I've told you, they've pulled shows down claiming copyright strikes on stuff I own.
Wait,
You didn't give yourself permission.
Wasn't that Scott Summers' trash episode one of the most viewed episodes you had on the channel?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
Even
somebody within YouTube really doesn't like me, which is weird because, I'm a pissant no-name channel with like, 2,500 subscribers.
Yeah, but you're good enough to give him a hate boner. So
Yeah,
congrats.
apparently.
Congrats. There's
Well,
that.
some peon is having a power trip.
Yeah.
Well, the only upside to that is it lets me know on some level I've done my job, that I've pissed some woke blue hair off that much.
Fuck yeah,
They've
street
got a
cred.
vendetta on me. I've done something right.
Yes.
It means I'm living rent free in somebody's head so bad that they're wasting time at work fucking with me.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, so yeah.
Oh, I was just saying that I was listing off how while the characters were in the Outback, they were dealing with their own personal crisis, not drama, but something very significant. The final ones I was going to say were Dazzler and Longshot. Longshot does not know where he belongs. He's trying to fit in a completely different world, completely different dimension. He's been raised in a totally different society where everybody worships television. And then you have Dazzler. She had finally become a star before being possessed by malice, then had to hide undercover in Lila Cheney's band, and then had to join the X-Men to survive. So she's very bitter because her career finally took off and then everything was taken from her. So each one of these characters is trying to figure out who they are. Of course, and then we have Psylocke, who just cannot figure out, or I don't want to say she cannot, but like Ishii has said several times, she is this tomboy warrior in a refined lady's body, which she does not want to be. And I think that's what Claremont was also aiming for too, because think of all the stories we got where the characters would be reminiscing about this, where they would be thinking about these things. Their lives have changed. Their lives have started over brand new, but some of the scars have still remained. And they got to work through that before they can finally take this new life that they've been given and just run with it. So we got robbed of that too.
And what was it? The fact that there was a resistance and an uprising against Mojo. You had mentioned.
Yes.
That should have been Psylocke's journey.
Yeah, she should have gone back with Longshot instead of Dazzler. But I know Dazzler was his girlfriend, so
Well, all three of them could have gone back.
That would have been
Well,
awesome.
then I'm gonna say should have taken Rachel with them too, because she was also a victim of the body shop.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the 4 of them rampaging through the Mojo world? It would have been epic as fuck. That would
Yeah.
have been
Yeah.
that should have been one of, not an event crossover, but that should have been one of the big storylines, or
Yeah.
even a separate book of its own. You know how we had, like, Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, or
Yeah.
Havoc and Wolverine Meltdown. It
Yeah.
should have been
Its own limited series easily.
I
yeah,
really liked
Revolution
Meltdown.
on Mojo World. It would have been fucking brilliant. Oh
It-
my god.
It would have been better than Long Shot the series.
Oh god.
Fucking, it was beautiful, but boy, oh boy, was that fucking stupid. By the end of it, it should have been Doctor Strange and his amazing friends. Fuck's sake.
Are you talking
You're
about the
right.
miniseries that introduced Longshot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But come on, the art was amazing.
No, it
The
was
art
awesome.
was amazing,
Yes.
but I think Ann Nocenti was given a bunch of stuff and she's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And did her best.
It's like watching a show with that redheaded chick from Mad Men in it, and you just turn the volume off, and you're just like, yeah, here's a way to enjoy this. Just don't read it.
Oh, you're talking about Elizabeth Moss, the chick that plays June on The Handmaid's Tale?
No, fuck that
No,
fucking
Christina
bitch.
Hendricks.
Oh,
Christina
okay.
Hendricks. Yeah, no, that other.
Christina Hendricks,
Oh,
size double H. Yes.
You just made me vomit in my mouth a little bit.
I'm sorry.
I
My
think if
bad.
I just got out of prison, she's like, let's go, big boy. I'd be like, nah, fuck myself, thanks. No. Ugh, no. She makes me so sick on so many levels. Sorry.
Oh, no,
Christina
I can't
Hendricks,
stand her
though.
either.
Christina Hendricks could raise me from the grave.
Boner-tastic.
No. Let me fact check you. Found true.
Oh my god, the fact that Hollywood won't cast her in anything anymore because her boobs are too big.
Yeah.
That's
kind of insulting.
bullshit.
And have you seen
You
the
can only
movies
get-
she's been in? Her movies have been terrible, but Mad Men was great.
She's appeared in had bit parts in a few films that were good, to be honest with you.
Really?
But-
Because she was terrible in that movie with Ice Cube, and then the
Yeah.
one with Billy Bob Thornton. I was just like, hush.
Couldn't tell you. No, Neon
Ugh.
Demon, she was perfect.
I don't know if I saw.
She had a
that.
bit part in that film, but it was
Gotcha.
she nailed it.
Yeah. It was
Well-
Bad Santa or Bad Santa 2.
No, in Neon
Ugh.
Demon, she plays a woman at a modeling company that's bringing a new starlet in, and she's giving the girl the lecture about how much they're going to try and make her starve herself. And
wow.
Christina is speaking from the heart because she really went through it.
Oh wow.
But anyway, we're talking about X-Men, motherfucker.
I fell off. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I fall off all the time. Good lord. That was pretty much just the tidbits of Outback information that I had today. We should. I'm hoping maybe next week we can actually do a full blown deep dive into the Outback, not the crossovers that came before or after, but the actual Outback arc. Because, like I said, when I think of X-Men, the first thing I think of is Outback. Like, that's the one.
Mhm.
Nothing else really sticks, but for some reason, the Outback does. That's why I said the Outback would be perfect for me. It's already perfect, but it'd be just a little bit more perfect if Gambit was there. Then I'm like, oh my God, I got my 3 favorite characters on one team. I'm
Yeah,
good.
And if it lasted longer. It
Yes.
definitely should have lasted longer.
Yeah, that makes me sad that God, like Claremont would do all these amazing stories and then editorial would come in. And I understand Jim Shooter actually was damn good at what he did.
Yes.
But he set a precedent that helped get him ousted and then bringing in editors that only cared about the cash. That's why you had All Flash, No Substance. When it came to Portacio, Lee, Liefeld, their art was great. Do not get me wrong. When that kind of art came out, it was like, holy shit. But then it was like, there's no story behind this. What the fuck, man? Like, no, I don't like this. I went back and I read that stuff and I'm like, there's nothing here. It's just all pretty and that's it.
Was that
Yeah.
Shooter's doing? I thought that was Harris. Bob Harris did that.
No, that was Bob Harris. I said that Shooter kind of, they should have never, the gang should have never got him ousted.
Yeah,
And I know that they don't want to admit that they were
Yeah.
wrong. That shows in the Claremont's X-Men documentary that they
Oh.
don't really want to admit that they
Yeah.
made a mistake.
we
Yeah, I
did
bet.
something horribly wrong.
I bet Nascenti's especially regretting it. I don't know if you've seen. It looks like she lives in a single wide now.
Really?
Oh no.
Yeah, I saw her do an interview. I forget with. I think it was Antonio Bryce, and yeah, it looked like she was video. She was skyping on like a baked potato in a single wide.
That's
Marvel is notorious for treating their artists and writers like shit. Remember when Dave Cockrum was dying and he was living in a cockroach infested, or no, he was living at the VA at that point,
Oh wow.
and the fans did a huge fundraiser for him so he could die peacefully in like a nice, I can't remember where he died, but they basically got him out of like this rat infested hellhole and got him someplace where he could have hospice and die peacefully.
stay tuned, true believers. Excelsior!
Yeah, meanwhile, Stan Lee was raking in the millions, but
Yeah,
all the people that got him the millions didn't get shit.
for shit he didn't do.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was a couple of other artists and writers. There's a reason that you have Jim Steranko, who's like, 120 years old, still going to conventions. You know, George Perez was still going to conventions while he was dying. A lot of these guys don't, that you think that they've got money. It's not until like you get to, Liefeld, Lee, Silvestri, that generation, they started getting the millions. But now, Marvel got smart and is now hiring, or has been hiring Tumblr artists or Tumblr writers, so they don't have to pay them that.
Well, nobody's buying their shit, so they gotta make a buck somewhere.
Yeah.
20 covers for fucking the Inferno 2 and shit. Has nothing to do with Inferno as far as I could tell.
Well, also I think they had to follow the Mutants event as well in
Yeah.
Krakoa. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
they did.
They
Yeah.
took all the titles that Claremont did that were amazing to try and get people to come back, and
Remember?
it turned out
Remember?
nothing.
Remember that? Remember this? Come buy it
You know,
again, remember?
just,
It's Comic AIDS. Fuck this shit.
I wish we could get Claremont or Nocenti on this channel, but I think you have to pay to get them on. I think they charge.
I
But
think
yeah, it would be
Nascenti
great.
might do it for the price of a value meal at Arby's at this point.
See, I would love to have her on. I have so many questions, not just about X-Men, but also her cleaning up Frank Miller's mess.
I love her, but she's got blinders on, so I kind of don't have time for people with blinders.
What do you mean by blinders?
Just she's so woke she doesn't even realize
she
it.
went along with the crowd.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh.
it's the mind virus. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is about.
Infected.
You see this a lot. I don't know. It's more pronounced in females than males, but you see it in a lot of betas as well. Where if that's the what the crowd's saying, got to stick with the herd mentality.
It's kind of
So-
why I don't like Dolly Parton either anymore. She came out in favor of Black Lives Matter. It's like, you don't even know what you're talking about, you fucking old gigantic titted coot.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Dolly Parton. That
I
makes me
know.
sad. Well, then I'm not going to buy her new cookbook after all.
When I was still on Twitter, I tried to sort of like give her a hint, like, hey, you're choosing the wrong side of history here, but she obviously didn't care, so it's cool. She'll just be my first love, and we'll both move on and try to forget each other. It's fine.
Wow, that's very disappointing to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Realize that people in that sphere are so disconnected from reality.
Yeah.
They're not living in the same world the rest of us are. So
Actually, okay, so I'm looking at this background you've got up, Ishii, and I'm going to say that actually would have been the perfect Outback team plus Gambit. Adding in Forge
yes,
and Banshee and Polaris, and then Gambit. That would have been the team.
Yeah.
And then you could have still had a blue and gold if you wanted to, and the teams could go like two places at once, you know?
Well, yeah, and take Psylocke out of there to send her with Dazzler and Longshot to go kick Mojo's ass finally.
Yeah.
She
And
could come
Rachel,
back, but I mean, just and Rachel, and just go do that. That would be a great either own series, like mini series, like you said, or
oh shit. You know what, guys?
6 month story.
I'm gonna have to fan fiction that one.
Yeah, right.
No, for real.
No,
I need
Yeah.
to practice my writing anyway. Well, I've been so busy and I've been trying to get a friggin' job that I've let my writing practice go to shit.
Yeah, you
But
got a
now I
story you got
want
to
to.
finish for me.
Yeah, I know. Well, everything that's been happening to me, I have not had a chance. So if I don't get a job, that's why I'm like, you know what? I need to relearn how to write because I need to bust out some like Chuck Tingle style porn so I can be making bank under a pseudonym on Amazon.
Okay, if you're serious, talk to me after the show.
Okay.
No,
No,
I'm just
Amazon,
kidding you.
I'm
Amazon
serious.
Literotica.
Why the fuck not? These people write horrible porn and make hundreds of dollars. No, they're not raking in the millions, but still, I mean, people buy Chuck
Look.
Tingle stuff because it's so off the wall.
Look, I've come across people who write horrible fanfic where it's literally about women turning into superheroes and then beating up their husbands with their tits. And they're getting people are paying them $900 a month to write books that then they go buy. Okay,
Wow.
so it's kind of. So anyway, speaking of Black Lives Matter, that's a fun one. I was thinking about that, and just hear me out on this. Let's say,
My gosh.
you we can kind of reboot the X-Men, kind of try and breathe new life into it. One of the things I would do is, that Kitty would restart Xavier's school.
Mm-hmm.
She would do it on her own because that seems like something she'd do. And what would be interesting and would be an amazing social commentary that would really, I think it would turn some heads, is if you very blatantly put forth the notion of all the things we're getting thrown at today, BLM, name your victim group, right, that is whining, right? And you exist in a world where there's an active global genocide going on mutants, and anybody can be a mutant. It's not like, like race where you're born black. No, one day you're just a mutant. Doesn't matter what you are, who you're from. It doesn't matter. Now you're targeted for genocide. And you want to tell me something as pitiful as BLM requires my attention? Think about that. Think about how much all the petty crap we're getting right now in this country would have to then justify its existence in light of a global genocide going on.
Well, think about if the island nation of Genosha existed in real time. There's mutants that are enslaved. They're doing slave runs on other countries to get mutants for slave labor.
Yeah.
And you want me to back your BLM and Antifa? There's fucking mutant slavery. No, that would be good. You would have to not use BLM and Antifa because lawsuits, but
I don't know. They did it in Captain America, and Antifa were the good guys.
Could you?
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I don't know if they actually used the name Antifa, but they were Antifa and everything but name if they didn't use it. I don't remember exactly, but they're trying to portray that Hydra was racist again. I'm like, they decided in the 70s that being racist didn't make them a prophet anymore. Read your books, faggots.
Oh. Okay, well, this is actually, I wouldn't even say BLM or Antifa. I would say feminism. You're bitching that you don't have rights in a first world country where you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Yet people are being kidnapped for being mutants and enslaved on Genosha. Grant Morrison, fuck you, Grant Morrison, should have never destroyed Genosha. What the fuck? God.
See, I didn't even know that happened because I did not read anything Grant Morrison. And was it Joss Whedon who turned beast into a lion that doesn't need to sleep anymore that could possibly be gay? Was that Whedon or was
No,
that
I think
Morrison?
that was Grant Morrison also
Yeah, I
did the
think I
gay
read that.
beast.
I was ready. I was done and ready right then. I was like, nope, check please. Fuck you.
No,
I'm
this is
out.
when they started doing the stupid secondary mutations.
Ugh.
Where all of a sudden the White Queen was a diamond,
Yeah,
and the beast had healing factor, and Angel's
Yeah.
blood could cure anyone.
Well, no, look, I'm going to toss this out here again. Think about how
I'm gonna cry.
controversial and how much you could really, if you really wanted to make a statement, putting a different perspective on things. Could you
Yeah.
imagine, at I guess it would be if we did like Kitty Pryde's school for gifted children or whatever the hell it was called, right?
Yeah.
And in history class, you've got your new mutants Spartan off to her. Well, why should I care about American slavery? Our people are right now being enslaved over in Genosha. Could you imagine the arguments that could come up with? Oh, who's one of the new mutants that's a real prick?
Bobby.
Kid Omega.
Bob. Huh?
Kid Omega.
Kid Omega?
Fuck Kid Omega.
That
Anyway.
was, I think that was another Grant Morrison insert.
He's
Yeah,
fucking
could you
drink poison.
imagine like Kitty doing history class about the Holocaust and Kid Omega saying, "Why should I care? I'm a victim of a worse one."
Yeah, pink hair.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine the arguments and how much? That would take it back to the level of when Magneto was on trial.
Yeah.
Because they used to deal with things that shocking.
If
Yeah,
the
do we
argument
forget-
didn't end, oh sorry.
What?
I was just gonna say, if the argument didn't end with Kitty Pryde reaching into his chest and pulling his heart out, I don't want to read it.
Okay, saying that,
Omega.
honestly, I wish we would have seen a Kitty Pryde moment like that. Joss Whedon was the only one that came close when she phased her hand into Emma Frost's chest and held onto her heart and was like, "You either tell the truth or I rip it out." And they thought she was bluffing, and she was like, "No, bitch, I will." But I really actually would have liked to see Kitty Pryde pull out Emma Frost's heart.
That'd be fine, especially
would
after
like
what
that.
Emma Frost did to her.
Yeah.
And Bobby.
And
Fuck
now they're
that bitch.
besties. They're besties now.
No, they're not. There's a creature that has taken over Kitty Pryde, and that thing is besties. They're not besties.
Honestly, the Kitty Pryde thing, I would actually do something really cliche and convoluted, but try and make it funny as hell. She's literally the Mirrorverse Kitty Pryde. And the real Kitty Pryde's been stuck in the Mirrorverse as a prisoner for
That'd be fun.
years.
That'd be
Got
fun.
another idea for you. Just again, kick cages, make some controversy, make a point. You could have a story about someone who is in BLM, active in the protests, and then one day wakes up a mutant, and they won't even. Immediately they try to kill him.
That would be a great story.
Think about that.
Yeah,
because that is the world of the X-Men,
and is what BLM would do to them.
Well, I thought Storm
you ain't black anymore.
Isn't Storm a member of BLM? Ta-Nehisi Coates made her a member?
Well,
wouldn't surprise me at this point.
He doesn't really count.
No, he's fan fiction at best.
Barely a writer.
No, hold on for a moment, guys. Sorry, there's an alarm going off. It's driving me insane. I'll be right back.
Okay. No, that's intriguing. I would like to see that story because that would actually put BLM kind of on the back foot. Like, hey, everybody, maybe you should question this shit. Yes,
exactly.
Yes, Black Lives Matter sounds great, but who the fuck really says that Black lives don't matter? I mean, most of the KKK are in jail. Most neo-Nazis are in jail. Who's really saying this shit? You know what I mean? It's like, but hey, if you support Black Lives Matter, maybe if you saw how they treated a mutant,
all right.
Well,
sorry about that.
Might make you ask questions.
Well, look at it this way, okay?
Yeah.
Right now, we've got the left where they've got this one-drop rule. If there's a tiny bit of you non-white, you are immediately in a minority.
Yeah.
If you look like Kronk, pale skin, red hair, but let's say he's like 1/4 black, suddenly that's all he is.
I'm probably like 1/804th% black.
Right.
Because of my
it's
Italian
the whole
blood.
one-drop rule. I mean, that's how the left is right now.
Yeah.
The moment you are no longer the melting pot. You're no longer a mix of ethnicities like real Americans. No, you've got the one drop. You're now you're in this group now,
Yeah.
and have that happen where this guy's in BLM or this woman's in BLM. Well, one drop, you've got a mutant power. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You're no longer one of us.
Hey, Buddy Smith actually had a similar idea. If you wanted to click on what he said.
Oh sure, where is it? Read it.
Sorry.
Ah,
The idea I had was at a gay club, a person finds out they're a mutant and the club goers try to attack them, and later we find out they beat the mutant into a coma.
I like that.
Yeah.
that's a good story right there. I mean, not because a gay mutant gets attacked, but I mean, like, to make people question, think about it.
And I
What
do
would you do?
vaguely recall in the early days of the X-Men, there was a story where somebody got kicked out of their community. I think it was a black community because he was a mutant and suddenly, well, he wasn't black anymore.
That was the whole thing about the X-Men, though. They were the minority of the minorities.
Right.
Even if you were gay, no, tough
Yeah.
shit. If you're a mutant, you are persona non grata. If you are black, if you're Mexican, it doesn't matter. If you're a mutant, you are not allowed in. You are the worst of the worst.
Well, yeah, the whole world's been told that at any minute you could kill everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because their
Nope.
powers are all out of control all the time. They
Yeah.
just want to kill flat scans. No offense to
Even-
the flat scans in the audience. No offense.
But
Even the most well-controlled mutant in the old days of the X-Men had lost their control of their powers at one point. Like, you had to learn. So yes, everybody was kind of a walking time bomb.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Colossus didn't, but then again, the time he stopped that Thresher from destroying Ileana, I guess he kind of did.
Yeah, but that was kind of cool watching that
Yeah, it
threshing
was.
machine just crush onto his body.
Yeah. No, it was. I was just about, but I was gonna say that as an argument. I'm like, no, she's right. Never
No,
mind.
okay, he's a communist
Mm.
on a farming commune, and the Soviets should be happy that they've got this big metal dude that's super strong. He should have been a super soldier. What do? Get the fuck out. You're a mutant. Get the fuck out.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe they retconned it, but they were talking about that he was going to be part of like Russia's version of Captain America.
No,
I don't know why they didn't get to it, but maybe because he was a mutant, right?
I thought that was his brother, Mikhail, who was the cosmonaut. He was like the great Soviet hero.
He was, but he wasn't Captain America material. Like,
See,
Peter,
they must have retconned that, because
Yeah,
I remember Mikhail being something quite different, and his mutant power came late. And since it came later in life, it drove him insane, and he ended up, quote unquote, killing the Morlocks, but really he took them to an alternate dimension that was like a hellscape and made them fight each other to the death and was becoming the next apocalypse. It's a really dumb story.
that is a really dumb story. But his powers were dumb too, so it's cool.
I don't even remember what his powers were.
He had like some space power and energy power, and I'm like, we've already got Exodus, dude.
you know, what I thought was funny was
We don't need another.
the time that they had the Claremont had KGB agents track down Colossus, and Colossus beating the crap out of him, saying something like, "I love my country, but I don't love you."
It sounds like
That-
him.
You know what? No, Colossus was proud to be a Soviet. He really
Well,
was, but he
yeah.
didn't like
He
his
was proud to
government at
be a
all.
Russian. He was
Yeah, he was proud to be a Russian.
not a Soviet.
Yeah, he loved his country, and he loved the idea of the party, but
I think that's one reason his character was so endearing, is at this time we are in the middle of a Cold War with the USSR, yet one of the most popular X-Men to exist was a Russian farmer that was also an artist and was the most pure of them all.
And named after never mind. Anyway, yeah.
who turned out to be one of Peter's ancestors, believe it or not. Yeah, there was a whole story on that.
Wait, who is Pyotr's ancestors?
The most famous Rasputin of all.
Oh God, was that for real? Was that a retcon?
Yeah, it was a
Ew.
retcon, but yeah.
Ew,
So
no! Don't do
that's-
that to Petey Pureheart.
that's how
No.
they tried to make him a more realistic character because he's got a little crazy, little cruel and berserker part to him that he's always holding back because his
That's not.
bloodline.
That's the
No,
dumbest
no,
fucking shit.
no, it's cool, guys. No, you're wrong. It's cool.
Well, that explains Ileana's behavior now too. Instead
Yeah.
of it being a poor girl that literally grew up in hell
Yeah, tortured.
and tortured, and she really is a tortured soul, and she finally gets peace by being able to be turned back into a child. No, they bring her back as this badass Wiccan bitch. She's a boss bitch.
Yeah, who teleports students to hell if they're 2 minutes late to class. Isn't that funny? It's funny.
Or remember, she also took the parts of the soul of Pixie so she could get out of hell at one point, turning Pixie kind of into her as well, like the second Dark Child.
Because of course.
I'm just gonna make a statement right now, because I have to say this, Janelle.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a badass Wiccan.
I know. But seriously, that's what they're trying to make. Like, dude, I'm sorry. I do not like Ileana's new outfit.
No.
It looks like shit with the weird ass horns and the leather booty shorts and the pauldrons and
the way
no.
they changed her sword.
Yeah.
So dumb now. And I
I'm
figured,
like,
Ishii, that you just misspelled or mispronounced fat ass. You didn't mean badass. Fat ass Wiccans.
Oh, there are plenty of badass Wiccans. There's just no badass Wiccans.
That's what I thought you meant.
No. Wiccans. Don't even get me started on what's wrong with Wiccans. I mean, to say it's LARPing paganism isn't even close. That would be kind to call it LARPing. If you know the history of where that shit came from, oh God.
I don't, and I'm not curious.
Oh no, you'd actually find it hysterical.
Probably.
It was an old, I think it was the 1800s. It was a British noble or aristocrat who really just wanted an excuse to play hippie, run around naked in the woods, and convince young girls to get into orgies with him.
As one does.
It's all made up. It has nothing to do with anything to do with real paganism or druidic ritual.
You're right. It's hilarious.
Wistmore says Ileana is a dumb berserker in the most recent #1. I guess the newest reboot.
Fantastic, yes.
I always remember Ileana seeming very cold and distant and kind of snarky, but that was because she was trying to cover up the absolute trauma and turmoil that she had inside of her. And then her brother died. We know he's not dead, obviously.
Yeah.
But she watched him die on national television, and Kitty is no longer, Rachel's gone, and Kitty is gone as well because Kitty's in England. She had no one because she never really connected with the rest of the New Mutants.
They tried.
Okay, I got a comment on this strictly because of what I do for a living. Wismore, I'm guessing you're new to the channel. By the way, I really dig your avatar. That's a cool drawing.
Welcome.
I am Wismore. I am actually a published creator. I have multiple graphic novels under my belt. You can find them all on Amazon. Link in the description. Here's the deal. I've been trying to get an artist. The last artist I had got TDS. I have the means of doing the crowdfund, paying an artist and doing comics. I have the scripts. I have the books. Finding a reliable artist has been the problem. And I spent 2 years wasting my time with artists who are just flaky, who didn't realize that it's a job. So I'm well aware of this.
I wish I could draw. I'd draw your stuff for you.
And you would be reliable because you actually work hard.
I haven't drawn in years at this point, though.
Oh my God, Wolf, you're right. They're trying to turn Ileana into Guts from Berserk. They even gave her Guts' sword.
Oh God.
Think about it. Look at Ileana now. Look at Ileana then, and put Ileana now next to Guts from Berserk.
I don't know Guts, but that sucks.
Okay, Wolf writes, they're always trying to unlame their bullshit new age shit and make it even lamer. Well, again,
put a dick in it, make her gay.
That was the point behind the character of Glinda in my Case File Arkham series. Was A lot of people kept mistaking her for a Wiccan. I said, no, she is a druid. The magic she does isn't pretty. It isn't fruity. It's not all hippie-ish. It's kind of dark.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't realize about druids, but
Yeah.
it's all good. Whatever. Just
Anyway,
don't knock on wood, guys. It's not what you think it is.
Well, her character fits in perfectly for that time frame with the druidic magic because of all the shit that was going on with Aleister Crowley and
oh yeah,
Jack Parsons. I'm sorry, I still think like they opened up a demon portal at Jet Propulsion's lab, and that's why it blew up.
that's why Hollywood's evil.
Wouldn't surprise me.
The demons
No, I
got
wouldn't
out
be
and
surprised
moved
because
to,
think of L. Ron Hubbard too.
I don't know what happened to him, but he was.
Oh, he's the one that claimed that he was also like some sort of magic sorcerer and got in with Jack Parsons.
Oh wow!
And Aleister Crowley said, no, this guy is a charlatan, but Parsons didn't believe him. And so Crowley ran off with Parsons' wife and the majority of his fortune.
and
Oh wow!
him and Parsons got together and had this stupid idea that they were going to either raise or summon the red whore of Babylon and have sex with her.
I wonder how Zemnu felt about that.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So anyway, yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I don't really have much more for tonight. It's just like I told Ishi and Kronk, I've had an insanely busy week.
Yeah.
I did not get to do much research. In fact, I really do want to, now that we've talked about the Outback, I really do want to do an Outback episode. But I also, since we've done Inferno, which was the ending pretty much to the, well, it wasn't the ending, but it was, okay, this is it.
It was close to the ending of the Outback.
Yeah, we should probably do
winding down
Fall of the Mutants, and for that we need to do a Forge episode within the next couple of weeks. We've been teasing, we also need to do Gambit, especially since Gambit got his due in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Still,
but I really do think we need to do a Forge episode because that character was so important to the X-Men.
Yeah.
Without being like one of the front and center X-Men. And then the idiocy of getting rid of him by breaking up him and Storm, and he was acting so out of character when he did so. The cruel shit he said to Storm, and it was because it looked like they were leading up to having Storm become in love with Bishop. I'm so fucking glad that didn't happen.
No, it makes sense because they're black, right? Right, because they're black, right? So black and black.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like,
that's why
really?
she married T'Challa.
Yeah, I'm like,
awesome.
They seriously put Forge and Mystique together. I actually do think that was a Claremont thing though, because Mystique or Destiny kept telling Mystique she was going to end up with Forge.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But I don't think the way that Storm and Forge broke up, that was one of the... I actually disliked the character because that was my first introduction to Forge, was that breakup issue. I was like, what a fucking asshole. Why doesn't she fry him? And then, I went back later on and I read the stuff in the past. I'm like, this character's amazing. They friggin' assassinated his character.
Another thing I would bring back if I could write any of the X titles, right?
Oh.
I would bring back the fact that there were stories where it was like 1 or 2 issues where, regardless of what was going on, the story itself was just a character study, where you suddenly really got to know who that character was. Because that was one of the things that really stood out to me about X-Men when I was reading it. And the character study of Forge is what got me to like him so much.
God, that was, in my opinion, the perfect character study out of all of the X-Men. I don't know if it was lightning in a bottle or what, but that is the best character study story, in my opinion, out of all the X-Men.
Yeah. It was just genius. It really was. Maybe I should just read that arc or that that brief 1-2 issues,
Oh, Life
and
Death Part 1, Part 2.
we can do a show on that because
There you go.
I
There's
would say that is a real high point in Claremont's writing.
the blueprint of Forge right there.
Yeah. And then
And
just after that, and then watching the whole adversary storyline, and you find out about Forge's past in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't love this character anymore. Like, oh my God, he just keeps getting better and better.
Well, I like that as a Vietnam vet missing a hand and a leg in the 90s, he was still yoked as hell.
Yes.
He was, because if you saw my dad, you'd be like, these two guys weren't in the same war. No.
Well, remember when Claremont and Barry Windsor Smith were first making Forge, and Barry Windsor Smith didn't draw him yoked. He was a thin man. He was
Yeah.
athletic,
Yeah.
but he wasn't like when Silvestri got a hold of him. It was like, oh God, dude, he hit the weight.
Yeah.
He should have stayed wiry.
It would have probably been better because otherwise it looked like him and Banshee were just bookends at that point.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I didn't like. They didn't even try to give them cool uniforms as is seen on screen. They gave them the
Right.
blue and gold, and the only difference is Forge has leather fringe moccasin boots, and Banshee's got his signature cape.
Yeah, his little wingies. That's it.
Yeah, and it's like, you guys didn't even try, man.
Generic X-Men standing in the back, not doing anything during Jim Lee's run.
Oh, same thing with Polaris. They did not give her a new outfit either.
Well, they did for X Factor, but yeah, I hear you.
It wasn't much different, though. They just changed the position of the blue and the gold.
Yeah, it became the X Factor uniform.
Yeah.
Which I like that version.
I did like the X Factor uniforms. They stayed with the blue and gold, so they looked like, actual uniforms, but they all had their own style. Except for Quicksilver, because Quicksilver's a bitch.
Yeah, he's all, fuck your style.
And not only is he fuck your style, I'm not really a part of your team, so I'm not going to wear the outfit. But he's like in every fucking issue.
Yeah, you can't make me wear that silly costume. I'll just wear the silly one I've had since like the 50s or whatever.
Yeah, at least it's not green anymore. It's blue.
Oh,
it looks better.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
But no, I liked when Gambit even wore the blue and gold.
Yeah, but you know what? He wore the trench coat still.
Yeah, that's, I guess, what made it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, with as much disdain as Forge had for his Native American background,
yeah,
I don't think he should have been wearing the moccasins.
No, that was so stupid. Yeah. Why? That's how you're going to tell us he's a Native American? That's so fucking cliche. We already know, man.
I think they just should have stuck with the leather jacket and jeans for him.
Yes.
Yeah, and Banshee should have stayed in the green and yellow. I mean, they could update it. They wouldn't have to change it, but update it would be fine. But
I think they were trying with the new team, after Claremont was like, fuck it, I can't do the Outback, so I'm dissolving the team and we're creating a new team on Muir Island. Yeah. I don't even think Claremont was really into that team, and because I felt like he didn't even really try. Maura McTaggart's possessed by the Shadow King, so her X-Men uniform is a little bit more sexier, but that's about it. And I mean, that team, I'm sorry, the only people on that team that were cool were Banshee, Forge, and Polaris.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I took from that story arc, okay? Is one, it was a false relaunch. It really wasn't the new team.
They all get annihilated, right?
Yeah, and I think that was part of it. Okay, this is the new team.
Yeah,
and then they get wiped out very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sunder gets killed immediately.
Yeah, like a bitch.
And Legion, this is when you start seeing Legion go insane and become a bad guy.
He was funny. He was funny though.
When I do remember people arguing, well, oh, this is the new team, or I don't know. They're all dead. Wait a minute.
That was the new team. Like, I'm not buying X-Men for a while team. That's what it was.
They weren't all dead, but that was when the Shadow King got a hold of them, because I believe soon after Sunder died, that's when they hooked up Lorna like a battery, and Banshee and Forge fled.
It'd be a good time to bail.
Yeah, because remember, that was when they were Banshee and Forge were colluding behind Moira's back. They're like, something's seriously wrong here. It is evil here. And they had the one pilot who ended up becoming the new Skullbreaker because, if I remember correctly, was it Moira put a bomb on her plane and blew it up because she thought Banshee and Forge were on it, but they didn't go on it.
Yeah.
And so Donald Pierce fished her out of the ocean and made her the new Skullbreaker.
Yeah.
And she absolutely hated the X-Men. Scylla was her name, because that was one of, oh God, you got to talk about, was it Silvestri that drew it? When she's on the wall and they're fitting the parts on her, her arms and legs have all been amputated and she's covered in wires and microchips.
Yeah.
And
That
it's
would be fun.
when Deathstrike, it comes up and says, do you really want to do this? Like, do you understand what you're doing? I can give you a way out. It's painful. This is going to destroy your mind and soul. And Scylla's like, no, I need this. She wanted revenge on the X-Men and she wanted to be able to fly as a pilot again.
And instantly you've got a very interesting character.
Yes.
Just like that. With actual arc and growth.
And, by that point, you could tell that Silvestri was really reading all those cyberpunk novels in the 80s.
Well, the reason the Outback always looks so spectacular is Mark Silvestri went and bought a ton of the coffee table books that are like, photographs of the Australian Outback and actually studied the terrain. And that's why it looks so perfect. The man did his homework. I appreciate an artist that actually goes and does the research, because then it really shows up in their art.
Yeah. Well, this also was pre-internet, so that's what he kind of would have had to do. I mean, he could have got books from the library or whatever, so respect for buying them.
Yeah.
I mean, but all the shots of the Outback were so beautiful. They could have been paintings.
Yeah, I loved when he would draw them at sunset or sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
Just the reds and golds and oranges. It's like, damn.
And catching like the true sort of violent nature of the environment there, like Colossus, getting so hot that he burns Rogue's invulnerable hand.
Oh, that's right.
And he doesn't even feel it. And she's like, ow, pulls her hand away. She almost absorbed his power too. I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, don't worry about it, sugar. She's like, but in her mind, she's like, if you only knew how good you looked.
Such a rogue thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Outback seemed to be the era. And once again, we got robbed, guys. It would have been so much more spectacular. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad we got Inferno. But I could have waited on Inferno or not even had it happen.
I loved the Outback whole arc and everything. I'm sorry that it ended when it did, but I really didn't like what happened next. Like with there's no X-Men. Oh, then Polaris and Banshee and Forge, they're the X-Men, and then they're not, and then we're having the Battle of Muir Island, and it's like, okay, a bunch of people I don't care about personally, no offense, doing stuff.
At least after the Battle of Muir Island, all of those that disappeared through Siege Perilous, except for Havoc, had all returned in one way or another.
Yeah, but they were so different that I didn't like them.
The only one I felt that returned that got it right is Dazzler, because she returned on the shoreline of Lila's Malibu house and was found by her and Strong Guy. And they were able to get her memories back. She was put in a very familiar place with very familiar people in an environment that she excelled at.
That's cool. I will definitely admit that. But I didn't like what happened to Colossus. I don't remember being in love with what happened to Psylocke.
Okay, wait. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Here he goes.
Again, I loved the Psylocke arc within Manderpool, so we'll disagree there.
No, it's fine.
I thought the tragic romance for Colossus
and Callisto
it was such a change of pace.
See, that's how I felt too. I actually like that. I know it
Mm.
was weird to get used to Callisto as pretty and a model and Colossus's love interest,
Yeah.
but I
Well, again, it
liked
was
it.
another character study.
Yeah. Well, not only did you have a character study with Colossus and Callisto is the exact opposite of who she used to be, it was really nice to see Colossus being an artist. That's what he did for a living at that point. He was painting beautiful pictures and was living in a artist's loft in Soho. Like he was getting his dream. But then the two, like the nurse and her boyfriend showed up, and like that's when the magistrate showed up, and yeah, all sorts of stupid shit happened.
Of course, I also appreciate that storyline for a completely pointless scene that's just in there for no reason, which is Colossus sitting on a fountain. Oh, I forget what it's called in New York. Going in Central Park, I think. And these kids are harassing him, saying, "What's his voice sound? You sound like Max Headroom. You got a weird voice. What is that accent?" All right. Well, should we call it a show?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have much time to do research. I'm hoping next week I will have something, and if you want, we can do Forge next week. If it comes to Forge, my husband will dig out what I need because that's one of his favorite characters.
Do you want to do a Forge and then maybe that a week after do Follow the Mutants?
I think that would be perfect. We should do Forge and Life Death and maybe work up to how Follow the Mutants happened because like I said,
Yeah.
Forge is one of the main characters of that story. He is integral. I mean, the setup was insane. And now Forge is obscure and not like doesn't have good storylines, and they'll never put him and Storm back together. And
Yeah.
I don't like today's fans because they are like, oh, Forge and Storm were stupid. She should be back together. Black
Well,
Panther, fuck you.
the beauty of today's fans is none of them pay for their comics. They pirate them, so they're not profitable.
That is true.
Oh, if you could only pirate toilet paper. Oh my
They're,
god.
they're just not invested enough in the characters to really care that much. It's obviously disposable masturbatory fanfic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can tell you,
Yeah.
I remember, like I know I need gas for my car, but the new issues of X-Men are coming out.
Speaking of masturbatory fanfic, Rogue in the Savage Land.
Oh, well, yeah. Until that stupid incident with her and Magneto that led to the fucking, let me fuck your old dusty balls romance.
Yeah. Thanks, Claremont. They weren't all home runs.
That sounds like a parody TV show that would appear on Mojo World. Tonight on Old Dusty Balls of Magneto.
Who rides Magneto tonight?
He's going to get busy with a girl half his age or more.
Do the curtains match the drapes? We find out tonight.
Is there a stripe down there?
Actually, before we go, one more thing. People who watched X-Men 97 are now starting to understand the implications of the Rogue Magneto romance because in the past, the flashbacks, it finally hit everyone that Rogue was 15 or 16 when they started their relationship and he groomed her.
It's so
Again,
gross.
proving Eric was evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been kind of a bad guy.
It also shows that Bo DeMaio and crew really didn't think it the fuck through. Or maybe they did, but they just don't care, because minors, whatever. But yeah, people are finally starting to figure out that was actually a gross storyline. And also, I'm very disappointed that Remember It did not get the Emmy. My poor boy Gambit just can never catch a break.
Nah.
No offense to you. That was fanfic. So, fanfics don't deserve Emmys.
That is true.
I'm saying it with love to Gambit. Gambit did not deserve for that to happen. So it's like, why didn't that one What If issue get more awards? Because it was fan fiction, basically. It was a what if bullshit.
Well, I mean, as I've said before, they came in on a Claremont story to sneak
Yeah.
in Morrison's Run, and now it's Morrison's Run. That's what 97 is, folks.
I'm so glad I didn't catch it.
Yeah, you make it
My
sound like an STD. I'm glad I didn't catch it.
I got lucky with that too. So I mean, I didn't catch the 97.
So yeah, people are starting to finally realize that show really is not what they thought it was. Good. I hope it gets fucking canceled. People, don't watch it. Tell your friends not to watch it. Put it all over social media. Do not watch X-Men 97.
Yeah,
Just
tell
gives you-
them that it'll give you AIDS.
Tell them that it totally makes it seem like grooming is okay.
Tell them that it will make them a Republican.
Yeah, tell them that they all vote for Trump in the next episode.
It will automatically just make them Republicans. They will have to vote Trump. They will get hacked. They'll get hacked and have to vote for Trump. Their vote will go to Trump. So yeah, don't do it, kids. Don't go Republican. Avoid the X-Men 97.
Oh,
Your
let's see, what else could you say? You could say that
Your dark overlords will thank you.
you could say that the carbon footprint of the X-Men is too large. That might get them upset.
Yeah, you'll have to pay more carbon tax.
That's it. They need a villain that's like Greta.
Oh God.
Why? Real life already has one.
Yes.
need her?
Oh, the wheels are turning now.
Isn't that
Okay.
Nature Girl or whatever that deer-headed bitch
Yes,
is?
Nature Girl is Greta Thunberg.
Kinda, yeah, you're right.
So there we go. We've completed
You
the
let her
set.
die. Okay, we're just dragging this out. Okay, good night, everyone.
Night.
Like the video.